Alright, here is the video review for Siege War for Cybertron Omega Supreme. And obviously this is not Omega Supreme. This is Countdown, his little minicon partner. And he is a little lunar buggy type thing. We're going to start off here because he can fit on this smaller space and I had it cleared off. And we'll start off with him. We'll show him off to get a good detailed shot of Countdown here. And then we'll go over to the big table and resume the main body of Omega because he is quite large. So Countdown is a Micromaster-sized, Battlemaster-sized robot. He's a little dune buggy. He's got his little, or moon buggy, not dune buggy, moon dune. He can roll around, not too dissimilar from his G1 counterpart, which I don't have, so I can't really compare. But there's also a mid mode, it says, to like just kind of tilt his legs up just a bit, fold his arms in like this, like angle his arms up against his legs, and then flip out the spike, and then he can plug in to Omega Supreme's shoulder. I don't know if he's supposed to be some sort of communications device there, or why you can't just plug him in as a buggy, but that's what the instructions say to do. But he's a very simple little buggy, and he rolls. Very simple transformation. Just flip his legs down. He does have hinge knees and ball joints at the hip. Fold his little communications dish down. Fold his arms down, which are also on limited ball joints up here. If you bring them all the way around, they do loosen up. Not loosen up. They do free up a little bit so that they've got a little bit of range of movement. But there's no elbows. He does have knees and hips and shoulders. His head does not turn. But there he is as a small little robot. He's a neat little robot. I like his design. Like just visually, I like his robot mode there. But he's small. And real quick, before we go all the way to the giant base, let's turn him back into a buggy here. Because his buggy mode, aside from the way that he can just peg into the robot shoulder, he interacts in a couple different ways with the base mode. One of which is he can ride around in and deploy from the tank. So here's Omega Supreme's tank. We'll lift these up a little bit. This panel opens up. And you can see there's 4 tabs in here that will securely just kind of hold him in place. And like it's not like super tight. It just basically keeps him from rolling around if you have him in here. But you can turn the tank into kind of a mini deployer base, and Countdown can roll out from there. But he does store in there, and there's a couple of things to keep him from rattling around. You can close up the tank with him inside of it, and then fold that down, and Omega Supreme can roll. While we've got the tank here, we'll go ahead and go over some basics of it. Aside from that, it's basically solid. You can lift these up if you'd like to angle these turrets. Same with this gun here. Unfortunately, because of the way his head folds into it, the turret itself doesn't rotate. It does, like the head is on a separate rotation and the turret is on a separate rotation. So it does rotate. It has to for the transformation. But when you have it all locked together, the way his head sits in there, and his head actually kind of, you can see there's some little tabs here that lock into a slot here on the turret. Once it's in tank mode, the turret does not rotate at all. Like they can rotate independently, but they cannot rotate together, unfortunately. But there's the tank mode. There's a close-up look at the tank mode with his little rolly bits, and then the hinge that this folds down on. And we'll go over and look at the base, and we'll see what the tank looks like with everything all together. And here is the base mode all together, and it is fairly big. Like the floor space wise, he doesn't take up as much room as I thought. He's very tall though. Like he's got the little track that runs all the way around. He does have, like I said, he has those little wheels on the bottom of the tank that kind of fit in the grooves, but it's not hard for him to go off the track. But you can see the track does go all the way around. It's more of it's closer to an actual circle than the oval track that the old G1 version had. His rocket is very tall. You can see it just keeps going up and up and up and up to the tip. And as a matter of fact, let me get a measuring tape here. His rocket mode, which is just his arms, by the way, is 25.5 inches tall. So almost as tall as the new Unicron that will be coming soon. And like obviously not as massive. I'm talking from farther away from the camera, sorry, as I wander around. But it was a very tall rocket. And Countdown, as you saw, we interacted with the tank here a minute ago. There are some little panels here. I think I twisted them around here. That can open up. You can open up this and this. There's actually a molded control center inside the rocket, and countdown can hang out up in there. But even inside there's like a little computer panel with a screen and some controls inside the tip of the rocket. Oh, that's a friction hinge. That's the first time that's happened to me. You close that up. And that's the drawback to this, is like the ratchets here on his claws. Sometimes they're like going down, you hear them clicking for everything. Going up, it's very easy for like the rocket to sink, no matter how well you've got it positioned. And where I had it at 27 or 25 and a half inches was with the feet splayed out a little bit. The more vertical you have it, you gain a little bit of height on the rocket itself. But it is very large, very big, surprisingly chunky rocket. And then the base has some ramps down here. There's attachment points on the outside of each leg. Let me come down here now. Now the rocket's out of the way. You can see there's these black hinges on either leg where other bases can attach. There's also some ramps here with attachment points where some of the previous bases that had hinges, Fort Max, some of the Titan Master robots that could turn into bases like Blaster can attach to these pieces here. And you kind of just make it, chain them together and make a giant play area. Let's go ahead and set the rocket down over here. Countdown can also move around in here, as well as ride the tank. Here is, let me put the rocket back in place, even though you're not going to see the top of it. But here's Voyager Optimus Prime for scale, just to give you an idea of about how big this base is. It's not, like I said, it's big. It's not the floor space, the square footage it takes up is not as large as I was expecting, but overall he's a pretty big robot. It also works really well if you have any of the New Age guys. We have Bumblebee and Prowl here. It just gives the impression that the base is even larger than it is, or any of the Iron Factory figures go well if you really want to give off. Personally, I think Prime looks good with it, because Omega Supreme in relation to Prime was big, but not super huge. But if you want to give a more impressive sense of scale, Iron Factory or New Age figures do go along with it very well. The instruction manual itself is almost magazine-sized, although not as thick as a magazine, but there's a lot of steps. Although he's not super difficult once you actually have him in hand. And to turn him into a robot, we'll go ahead and take the tank off the track. And then we'll go ahead and set the rocket off to the side as well. We're actually going to lay that down so it doesn't fall and break anything. Now the tracks come off first, and they have the same kind of connection point here as a lot of the bases. So if you wanted to connect a base, you could connect bases here to the front or back of his legs if you take the track piece off. The track piece, you just fold these in and then fold it in half. This will automatically fold in half, and this chunk in the middle becomes the tab that attaches it to robot mode. So you take off each track piece, fold it in half. It's actually a pretty simple transformation, all told. So fold these in, fold that in half. We've got both of his wings here. So the base robot, you can kind of see how he is. His waist turns around, but his legs are just kind of squatted, like just out to the side. And so you just come down here. You hear the heavy ratchets in his legs. Fold those in. The ramps fold around the thigh and into place and snap into place like that. Move the legs down. Fold that in like that. And then lift this up and turn them all the way around to the waist. And you can fold these little attachment points around and up against the leg. And there's his lower half done. And then we'll come up here. Go ahead and straighten this leg. We're quite straight. Leave this open. The tank. So here's the tank in tank mode. Lift these up. Open up this panel here again. This panel can be tricky to lift that up. Take the back half of the treads, fold them down and around, and plug them onto the bottom here, just like that. It should actually tab in. There's a couple tabs here that fold into this slot. So make sure you snap that. You line that up, and snap it together here. There we go, clicked into place. So you bring this whole head assembly back, rotate the turret up like that, and then fold this whole assembly around to reveal his chest plate. And then this comes down, these guns come down to the side, and then they fold in half. And they kind of sit down here behind where the red plate's gonna fold up into, and fold the red plate up. Snap it into place, and then slide that down. So these actually, you can see there's a groove here. These actually snap into place here at a slight angle, like that. There's his torso. Come around here, flip up his little rear cannon, and then this just slots up into here and into the main body of the robot, like that. This panel flips up and snaps into place here, and then he's got some missile launchers here you can reveal in base and robot mode, and then these panels come down. He's got a couple guns here on the front. Onto the rocket. So the rocket, you come down here, there's a couple panels right at the bottom that you want to split open. And once those are open, you split the whole center of the rocket in half, like this. And it's on a hinge here, so bring this hinge all the way out like that, like it folds in. If you don't bring this all the way out, it won't plug in properly. Fold these smaller panels in, smaller panel in, and then let that just kind of hang there like that. Actually, just back like this. You want this half circle with the flat piece sitting on top. Bring the arms down, extend them, and bend them forward. You can collapse the tip of that. And then this whole section with the curved half on the bottom and the flat half on top, you can see the cutout here in his robot mode. Just take this and snap it into place like that. And then there's some grooves here on either side, right here, where you will take the respective wing piece with this tab, lift this up, and slot the wing into place. And same on this side. Slot the wing into place. This can come up and just kind of sits up here on the back as a backpack. Turn them around. And there is Omega Supreme as a robot. He's big, he's massive. Here's Countdown. He can stand up here. Again, he's got pegs on the shoulder pad. And when I was talking about that weird dune buggy, like not dune buggy mode, where you just kind of fold his arms up, the instructions have his arms angled up and then just pegged in with this peg onto his shoulder, like that. What that's about, I don't know, but it's there. This up just a big, keep them all in frame here. Here he is with Voyager Optimus Prime, and he seems significantly huge in that regard. But again, if you really want to make him seem massive, any of the New Age or Iron Factory figures do a pretty decent job of conveying his scale. Posability wise, his head can turn side to side, and it does actually have a neck. Like you can actually, like you can see, he can lift his head up. He can actually look down a little bit, look up. He's got to pull his head up, but his head can look side to side. I don't believe his visor opens. I haven't found a way to do it. I'm not going to risk breaking it. Ratchet, all of his ratchets in the shoulders, both forward and out. Bicep swivel, ratcheting elbows. His fingers move here and here. This arm, same articulation, but obviously the gun turret doesn't really move aside from collapsing or extending. Because of it, you saw the transformation where he does have a waist swivel. Just does not want to snap in properly, but we'll get it. And then his legs, he's got both directional hips, he's got 90-degree knees, and he actually does even have ankle tilt to a small degree. So he's pretty massive. He comes with blast effects. He comes with 2 small blast effects and this large blast effects, which in and of itself, the tip of it is another one of the small blast effects, and you can pull it off at various points. To make this blast effect, that's all the chunks, as big as you wish. I think my thumb may have been there, but you can make it as big as you wish. You can attach blast effects to his cannon up here. You can attach, we want to put this all together. I may be doing this wrong. I feel like I've done some of this backwards. I have. Attach this big blast effect. Can attach either to the end of this hand, as if he's blowing somebody away. You can attach into the middle of this claw. If you want to take all 3 of the small blast effects, or any combination, all of his fingertips can each hold a blast effect. So if you want him to be shooting blast effects out of his fingertips, you can attach those there. And there's lots of points, like he has a bunch of smaller points for these size blast effects. You can either plug in using the bigger peg, or there's a hole in the middle that allows it to attach to regular sized blast effects. If he's getting shot, he's got a couple points on both of his chest pieces. They're a little different over here. They're up here and here. You can plug it in if he's getting attacked. There's even some scorch marks on his rocket mode, so if you want to make it look like he's getting shot in his arms, or he's venting energy from his arms, you can do that. You can plug it in again. This is the same port as the exhaust of the rocket engine, so if you want to make it when he's in rocket mode, you can plug this in here and make it look like he's blasting off. It's really up to you. But a very solid, huge figure. He's not as big. I don't think he's quite as big as some of the Gabriel. Or he doesn't seem as massive. He seems like he might be as tall as figures like Gabriel, but I don't think he's as massive. But I'm not sure about that, since I don't have them anymore. There's also, you can see some scorch marks down here on his legs where some of the bigger ports can plug into. So you can really make him look like he's getting into a fight. He's big, he's huge. I'm glad he's here. It's Titan class Omega Supreme from War for Cybertron.